for the love of marketing. I'm Namrita, that is Simon. Hi, Simon.
Hey, now, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Really good. It's very hot here, not as hot as it is in Delhi, but it is very hot
Yeah.
today, which is why I've got my snazzy summer clothes on, but it's all right.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you're also getting some of the sun. It's not just everything is not only happening in India. I sometimes feel like it's in my head. Maybe, yeah. But yeah, it's good to know that the whole world is feeling the sun. So yeah, today I wanted to talk to you about key marketing trends. Like a lot is happening right now, and for the past few years, COVID, the Ukraine war, and overall difficult economic conditions. And the things are changing very rapidly. And when the economy is so unstable, marketing trends are also going to change very quickly, and marketers will need to adapt to them. So, what are the key trends that we should look out for?
Yeah, it's a great point. I think at the moment there's a lot happening in the world. I mean, it's difficult for us to keep up. Obviously, there are a lot of very hard things happening for people at the moment. Obviously in Ukraine itself and other parts of the world, but also a lot of the rest of the world feeling the impact of that as well. And I think we will do a podcast in the near future, I think, on marketing in a recession. It's something I've had to deal with a few times in my career. There have been two or three big knockbacks that have happened in the economy over that period, and what that changes for marketers is challenging. So we'll talk a bit more about that in another podcast anyway, because I think it's something that marketers who haven't been to a recession yet would find very useful. Some tips and thoughts about what maybe is coming their way and how to adapt to it. But yeah, in terms of trends this year, there are a number of things happening. We did a trends report right back at the beginning of the year, right? We wrote one about a number of things to look out for this year. So I think touching on some of that is useful, because there have been a lot of ups and downs in the first half of this year already with some of those specific trends. We talked about within that, we talked about the metaverse, we talked about influencers, we talked about, of course, COVID. I think we're coming out the back end of COVID now, although a friend of mine has just been told they have COVID yesterday, so it's still around, but we're coming out the worst of it, I think, certainly, which is good. Although I hear there's now monkeypox making its way around over here as well. I guess it comes from one problem to another. And there's EAT and from an SEO perspective as well, and of course all the privacy cookie changes, lots of other things that we talked about. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing right now is the metaverse, because its future is so unstable, and it's like such a gift box that everybody is dying to unwrap, like explore. So what do you think next few years are going to look like in marketing? What would be more in virtual reality, or we'll just stay in our worlds? Or what do you think will happen with that?
Yeah, it's really hard to predict, isn't it? It's really hard to predict. I mean, VR was an exciting thing when I was a kid. Really, there were movies about it in the early '90s. I think when I was still pretty young. What was it, Lawnmower Man or something? Was it that one? I don't know. Maybe I'm quoting the wrong movie. I don't know. But anyway, there was that sort of buzzing around, and everyone was really into the idea of it. But it never really went anywhere. Of course, it's picked up a lot more over the last few years as Facebook or Meta, as they are now, and various others have got into the game. And I still don't think we're in a place where we're anywhere near mass adoption. Of course, you can buy the old Google Cardboard and similar things to slot your phone into, and have a sort of cheap version of that as well, and play around with it. We've got a little cheap one here that my kids love to use with their phones as well. So yeah, I think that the future of it is interesting. I think we're a little way away from it being anywhere near mainstream. I just don't think there are enough use cases for it at the moment. I think AR has been a lot more practical so far, where you can combine reality and virtual reality. I think that is that's had its uses, of course, in medicine and of course in gaming and other areas. So that's huge. So I don't think consumers are really fully ready for it yet. I think we're a few years away from that. And also, I don't think the tech's really ready for it yet either. I think with the where Meta want to go with the metaverse, I don't think we have the infrastructure yet to really be able to deliver what they need. There's been some pushback on some of that already. So no, I think there is a way to go for the metaverse. It's a long-term play. I think the opportunity is enormous. I think those people that move to it early will learn from it and will have an advantage from testing it out early on. So I think if you are in a brand that has some sort of innovation experimentation budget, I think it is worth looking at this and seeing if you can play with it, learn about it, perhaps create some experiences. That's great, but it's not at a mature enough place for most brands to get involved with yet. So I think as marketers need to watch this space and see what happens. Also, it's going to be intrinsically tied to cryptocurrencies as well. Once you get into the metaverse, you're not going to play with cash, right? You're going to play with most likely cryptocurrencies. And they've been suffering a lot in the last few months as well. They were at a big high back in late 2021, but with the start that we've had 2022, which has been a difficult one, they've suffered quite badly, and whether they'll come back to that level of strength they had before or not is a big question mark. And as always with cryptocurrency, lots of hot debate on that one. So look, I think for me, metaverse remains a key trend to watch out for this year as a marketer, to keep learning about, to keep understanding, to stay close to, perhaps to get involved with if you've got the team and budget to do that. But largely, I think it's a long-term play to watch over the next few years.
Yeah, and I also wonder, what will happen once metaverse is accessible and everybody's using it. Will we have more influencers like Addison Ray or some TikTok stars turning into metaverse stars or something like that? So influencer marketing in general is very a bit of a controversial topic. Sometimes I feel like so many people from TikTok, young people from TikTok, were invited to the Oscars and such big deals they are getting. So it's something that is a bit controversial. But how do you think marketers can be objective and take advantage of it?
Yeah, and that was, by the way, that was a brilliantly smooth transition between metaverse and influencers. Well done there. That was fantastic. It's a great point. I think influencers have been around for a while now, and the shape of how we work with them has changed a lot in the area of marketing. I think you're right that they get invited to the Oscars now. They are. I mean, my kids play Fortnite, and you get the actual skins of the characters of an influencer that you can pretend to be, basically, when you're playing the game. I know I sound like an old man putting it that way, but trying to explain it for everybody. And of course, the British guy that just came second in Eurovision, which is just pretty unheard of for us. He's effectively an influencer as well, sort of accidental influencer, just a talented guy who's made it good. But similar, so the influencers are finding their way into lots of different parts of the world, not just sitting on YouTube or Instagram or whatever it is and owning their presence there, but really playing that out across lots of different channels and mainstream media now as well. So I think they remain a huge part of any social media strategy. I mean, a big part of growth on social media, you've heard me talk about it a lot, but really social media is about being human more so than anything else. People like people. Ultimately, people react well to people. So if you can be human and build relationships and give content to your audience that is benefiting from multiple people with good strengths, experience, talents coming together, it's a powerful thing to do. Two heads are better than one and all of that. So there's huge advantage to it. I think being aware of the influencers that you should work with is one key point. A lot of small businesses I've heard say to me that we don't work with influencers. We don't need to be working with the Kardashians. That's not going to help us. Okay, well, the Kardashians are at the top of the pyramid, right? The influencer pyramid. You don't need to be working with the Kardashians. So when you think of influencers, a lot of people think of the guys with millions and millions of followers who are earning tens of millions of pounds, TV stars, massive YouTube gamers, etc. Okay, those are the high profile ones. But as with any industry, there are a lot of smaller profile ones as well that you can benefit enormously from working with. So whatever niche you're in, there is likely to be more than one influencer, certainly, that you can work with. And if you think about the influencer pyramid, at the top, you have that small tip of the pyramid, which is a very small number of people with a huge number of followers. And that's where you find your major celebrities, Cristiano Ronaldo, the like, right up there. So, of course, if you want to do a deal with them, you go in front of a lot of people, but it costs you a lot of money. And most of those people, depending on what you do, may not be interested in what you're talking about. Whereas if you come right down to the bottom of the pyramid, down to micro and nano influencers, these are people with, sure, thousands of followers, and maybe tens of thousands of followers, but not millions of followers. But the followers they have are really engaged in what they're talking about, and really loyal to them. And if you can develop a relationship with an authentically relevant piece of content, your brand, your product, whatever it is relevant to that audience, you can get actually a far better response from that audience and grow a really good, loyal customer base from working with micro and nano influencers than working with major celebrities. So yeah, I think it's definitely an area that continues to be important, continues to grow, and I think every brand really should be looking at how they can work with influencers, from a small high street brand or even potentially a sole trader can even benefit from it as well, all the way up to global corporations as well. So yeah, engage authentically, be human, build relationships. It's going to help you with the algorithms. It's going to help you with attracting consumers. So it's definitely a game still to be well on top of and focused on for this year.
That's like, I feel I would much rather support nano influencers than focus on the Kardashians and what they are doing, because I feel like I will be supporting that influencer in creating more meaningful content than just giving money to people who already have a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, so supporting smaller influencers is also a good thing to do. And yeah, there's always things we can learn from the large influencers, and keep in mind that many of those large influencers are not actually running their social media at all. They might have some level of oversight, but a lot of them won't be involved actually in their social media at all. So yeah, having a look at what they're doing and what we can learn from that is great, but that doesn't mean you have to use them. Steal some of their tactics and use it on your own strategy and with your own influence. I think we did a blog not too long ago actually about stealing the Kardashians and social media strategies. So definitely encourage it. Go and have a look at the blog for what we wrote about that. But yeah, I think that's it's an interesting area. But I agree with you. But you're supporting smaller influencers benefits everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and you talked about how people understand people, like the power of influencers is that they are real, like they're sort of real human beings that are interacting with humans. But what happens when people are interacting with technology like SEO and especially EAT, like Google's new principle for SEO? What do you think, like about that? How will it change the game?
Yeah, EAT's it's interesting. I think it's for me. It's not just to be clear. EAT isn't it's not an SEO technique as such, right? It's more of a principle, more of a sort of thought process and a strategy than it is a specific technique. So it's not like structured data where you would implement structured data on your website. You can't implement EAT on your website as such. It's not in that format, but it's a critical area. So anyone who's not looking at this again in marketing that has any level of responsibility around SEO, or just generally it's worth every marketer understanding, have a look at EAT principles. But ultimately this is about building authority. It's a point that Google have talked about for a very, very long time, really. They're just giving it some structure. But really what we're trying to say here is build yourself into an authority. Show that you are delivering something meaningful, right? Anyone can start a website. I mean, I could straight after this call in 10 minutes launch a new website if I wanted to, no problem at all, right? Easily done. And I could write anything I want about anything in the world, but that doesn't make me an authority on that subject, right? If I go and start a website now and I start talking about chamomile tea, right, which I know nothing about other than that I like drinking it, right? There's nothing that would give me any level of authority on that at all. I have no right really to talk about it. Obviously, the longer I write that, perhaps more of an authority I become on the subject, right? The more I write about it, but really positioning yourself as an authority, writing content that is long enough to be meaningful, compelling, lengthy, well-structured content on your particular niche is really critical. Trying to drive PR is going to help you a lot. Trying to generating really good, powerful links that people are actually saying that these guys are know what they're talking about, and we trust them. If you're getting those sort of links through from trustworthy sites, that's going to help you as well. Also, building experiences. So I think for me, one way I think about EAT, should probably have this discussion with some other people at some point, but is around trying to build a real experience, a real community, is something that people can get involved with, believe in, engage with, so that really pushes those experience metrics on your platform, on your website, through to showing that people are truly engaging, finding it useful, getting deep engagement in your website. They're getting quite sticky in there. And ideally, as I say, sharing, and if you can create content that is link baiting content, so it's not something that is meaningful that people are going to want to link to, so you sort of bait that link in. I think that's also a really great way of attracting authority through as well. So I think communities, building tools, writing good, compelling, meaningful content, gaining links, these are the things that really position you as an authority. As you get more PR and coverage, it enables you to obviously start to play with Wikipedia and build your profile in other areas as well. So I think that's Google is looking for ultimately the websites that are a genuine, helpful and experienced voice on the subject to be surfaced, rather than just some website that some guys thrown up last week. There are lots of techniques in SEO to drive yourself forward, but ultimately the principle of EAT is to surface those people who genuinely have the authority. So lots you can do on that. That's just a bit of a download, but it's definitely a huge area of focus, and it should be for anyone working in SEO or more broadly in marketing at the moment.
We talked about the metaverse. We talked about EAT principle. The cookies, the privacy policies are changing. Short form video content is taking over the world. There are so many trends that are happening. So how would you put it all together, and what would be your key takeaway from this interview for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a tricky one, right? So there is a lot going on. There's a lot of different ways you can set up your team to manage it. There's a lot of ways you can stay on top of things. I would encourage every marketer to never stop reading. I think that's important. I mean, obviously my books, start with those. That's the first place to go. And I think the third edition of Digital Marketing Strategy is just out last month, actually. So definitely pick up a copy of that if you can. But aside from my books, I would encourage everyone to be reading your good relevant blogs, and there are many of them. I think I've recommended a lot of good blogs on my site as well, so have a look at that. And obviously follow my blog as well. Helpful thing to do. And of course, you can join our newsletters as well to be kept up to date. And of course, you can follow this podcast as well, right? So there's lots of ways from my perspective, but also loads of great blogs. Stop talking about myself. Lots of really good blogs out there, loads of great websites. Obviously, YouTube is a fantastic source of wealth as well. Just be careful who you're listening to. Make sure that the advice you're hearing is from someone with some genuine experience and authority. There are a lot of people who are positioning themselves as experts in marketing and really just regurgitating what they find on social media at the moment. So just make sure you're listening to someone who's got good experience and relevance, but there's loads of great stuff out there to learn from. So I'd encourage that. I mean, harping back to my book for a second, I think the reason I wrote the book is to do this, is to help people understand how to pull the different moving pieces together. There are a lot of changes around privacy and cookies, GDPR over the last few years. There's a lot of stuff around regulation, but also looking at your competition, how technology is changing. There's a lot to think about in managing your people, planning your strategy, and pulling it all together. So that's what digital marketing strategy is designed to do, to help people with that challenge. So definitely I'd recommend having a look at that, but also just keep reading, keep learning, never stop, and also test right? Never stop testing either would be my other key recommendation on how you make this a success. It's something you should never stop doing in every channel, in every part of what we do as marketers. We should be learning all the time. So yeah, those would be my couple of quick takeaways on how to pull it together.
Simon, I think somebody was playing piano at your end in the last part.
I wish they were playing piano. Sorry, this is the danger of recording everything from a home, right? We've got a door being fitted on the other side of the house. So it sounds like a piano. That's great. It's just a drill. But,
it sounds like a piano.
Yeah,
people can take it for
it's a shame.
Background noise.
Probably should have gone somewhere else, but there we go. You got to record these things, and like I say, it's all about being authentic, right? And I'm authentically having a lot of noise in the background. So.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And that piano background noise was excellent. So subscribe to our channel on YouTube for more marketing tips and advice. And you can follow our podcast on Spotify and Apple. So see you all next time. And thank you so much. Bye-bye.